Pauper is exploding in popularity. The release of Eternal Masters has injected the format with tons of power. The set has been widely praised for providing Pauper with a number of interesting cards that lend to strategic depth and complexity. Why is Eternal Masters so great for Pauper? One reason is that Eternal Masters has been so well received is because, as a non-standard release, that is, a set that will never enter Standard, it is exempt from New World Order. What is New World Order? New World Order is a design mandate that was engineered to help new players to Magic adjust to the game. After Time Spiral Block saturated Magic with new mechanics, and then Lorwyn Block did the same with onboard tricks, looking at you, Silvergill Douser, Wizards R&D decided to try and make the game easier for new players to learn. And this meant, specifically, reducing the ways that commons were designed. Why commons? Well, as Mark Rosewater has said many times, common cards are the easiest way for new players to access the game. By making the individual cards easier to understand, it lowers, supposedly, the barrier of entry to the game. Because of this, some cards that were common for much of Magic's history, including iconic ones like Prodigal Sorcerer and Samite Healer, are no longer shoo-ins for being reprinted. Instead, the amount each card can do has to be weighed against the entirety of the set it is in. Now, while New World Order has nothing to do with the strength of common cards, we're just talking about complexity. Nonetheless, the directive is still derided by many Pauper players. Quit powering down our format, we so often cry. On some level, this makes sense, as Pauper can be seen as defined by extremely potent cards from years gone by. Commons like Rancor and Counterspell, cards like Goblin Matron and Quirion Ranger are not likely to see print at common in a standard legal set anytime soon, if ever again. To say nothing of something like Pestilence. These cards are not only complicated, but they could wreak absolute havoc on a limited format, ruining an entire season of Draft. But are the cards released after New World Order worse in Pauper? Zendikar, the first set to be fully designed with New World Order in mind, was released over 7 years ago. That's 21 expansions and 7 core sets. So let's take a look at the top 5 post-New World Order releases for Pauper. For the sake of this video, we're only going to be looking at sets where a card entered Pauper for the first time. For instance, Dead Weight appears in both Innistrad and Shadows over Innistrad, but it only counts in our first visit to the world of Gothic horror. Now, before we begin, I want to start with a few sets that just barely missed the cut, a couple honorable mentions, and they are Khans of Tarkir and Dark Ascension. Khans of Tarkir gave Pauper access to its best duels in the common gain lands. While not as powerful as the Ravnica block Karuz or Bounce lands, these cards have allowed Pauper brewers an opportunity to stretch their mana base. The very popular Koldatha Jeskai or Jeskai Kitty deck would not be as successful without these lands to help fix their 3-color mana base. Khans also gave Pauper Hooting Mandrills and Sultai Scavenger, as well as sideboard standout Feed the Clan. As if that wasn't enough, it also had Treasure Cruise, which was so powerful it had to be banned. Dark Ascension also had plenty of potent Pauper pawns. Faithless Looting is an incredibly strong card, but it is the key mechanics from this set, Morbid and Undying, that really make it stand out in Pauper. Young Wolf and Stormbound Geist are everywhere as a way to fight Chainer's Edict and other removal spells, with Loyal Cathar not far behind. Tragic Slip and Hunger of the Howl Pack have surged in popularity and provide some serious undercosted effects whenever something else dies. Wake Dancer may have only recently become common, but it was included here first. Forge Devil, Gather the Townsfolk, Artful Dodge, Midnight Guard, as well as Haunted Fendgraf, Undying Evil, and Thought Scour all came from this one set. All have incredibly had an impact on Pauper, and still this set isn't even in the actual top 5, it's just an honorable mention. So you know that Dark Ascension set the bar incredibly high. Which brings us to number 5, New Phyrexia. The reason this set makes our list is because of Phyrexian mana. Apostle's Blessing, Gitaxian Probe, Mutagenic Growth, Porcelain Legionnaire, and Vault Scourge all see play in Pauper, and this list does not even include Gutshot, which was downshifted to common in Modern Masters 2015, making it Pauper legal. Pauper Infect players loved this set as well, what with Glistener Elf and Blighted Agent. In fact, Glistener Elf was so good it helped get Invigorate banned in the format. Geth's Verdict and Vapor Snag are key spells in Pauper. Suture Priest pops up all the time as a way to buff your own health while needling your opponent. Maul Splicer is a great top end for Tron decks, and Pristine Talisman helps to enable an entire archetype in Dimir Teachings. Finally, Remember the Fallen has started to see play as a way to draw 2 cards from a graveyard. Staying on the same plane, the number 4 post-New World Order set is Scars of Mirrodin. Many of the best cards from Scars are enabled by the original Mirrodin and the artifact lands held within. Galvanic Blast and Carapace Forger help define Pauper affinity. Blight Mamba, Corpse Cur, and Cyst Bearer all form the top end of Infect. Fume Spitter does a great job in taking out 1-drops while working rather nicely with Tortured Existence. And that deck also makes heavy use of Perilous Mirror and Sylvok Lifestaff. Glinthawk and Kuldotha Rebirth have enabled an entire archetype as well, looking to gain extra value from Mirrodin Besieged's Ichor Wellspring. Assault Strobe was giving people battle rage long before Temur entered the picture, while Grasp of Darkness has killed a fair number of creatures. Finally, Nihil Spellbomb has given the format yet another way to handle graveyard shenanigans. Coming in at number 3 is the set that New World Order started in, and that's Original Zendikar. The list of Pauper staples from this set feels like it's a mile long. Here we go with Core Skyfisher, Vines of Vastwood, Journey to Nowhere, Disfigure, and Goblin Bushwhacker. Zendikar also has plenty of cards that are important without figuring into multiple archetypes. Burst Lightning gives late-game flexibility. Kabira Crossroads and Spreading Seas combine an acid trip to grind the game to a halt. Core Sanctifiers has seen plenty of main deck play. And finally, Expedition Map, an incredibly powerful card good enough to say play in Modern, helps to enable the entire Tron strategy. Oh me, oh my, Rakul, number 2 on this list is Rise of the Eldrazi, a set that is definitely on the more complex side of things. Rise certainly rises to the occasion. Taking the lead from Tron, this set features Ancient Stirrings, which can find a missing piece of the Urzatron, while also finding a key threat, such as Ulamog's Crusher, also from this set. Tron needs Prophetic Prism, a card which sees play in Kuldotha decks as well, and even some affinity builds for its ability to fix mana and replace itself. Speaking of Kuldotha Jeskai, Lone Missionary is another product of the Awakening of the Titans. Aura Gnarlid gives Hexproof a shot in the arm, while Hyena Umbra and Spider Umbra earn slots from time to time. Bloodthorn Vampire gives Aristocrat players a 2-drop they can sink their teeth into. Are you already tired of Peregrine Drake decks? Well, you can thank Rise of the Eldrazi for Mnemonic Wall and Seagate Oracle. Sick of Delver keeping you down? Deprive and Narcolepsy call this set home. Kiln Fiend is a staple of Izzet Blitz, and in the past the deck has run Distortion Strike. Nest Invader, Flame Slash, Goblin Aristocrat, Overgrown Battlement, Soul's Attendant, and Stagger Shock all get heavy play in Pauper, but none of them compare to, wait for it, Evolving Wilds. Yes, Terramorphic Expanse first saw the light of day in Time Spiral, but the Wilds has seen more printings and acts as fetch lands 5 through 8, giving decks like Dimir Delver a nice way to feed Gurmag Angler. So what set could earn the number 1 spot? What could it be? What set that we haven't talked about features a format-defining card, say a 1-drop? If you answered Innistrad, you would be absolutely correct. Delver of Secrets changed the way Pauper was played and made turn 1 even more important. It alone is enough to propel this set to the top of the list, as it is quite possibly the single best offensive threat in the entire Pauper format. Oh, but wait, there's more. Innistrad also has 2 of the best persistent threats in the format, with Curse of the Bloody Tome and Curse of the Pierced Heart. In enchantments are notoriously hard to handle, and these two cards have proven their worth time and time again. Victim of Night and Deadweight are both automatic inclusions in black decks these days, for their ability to handle creatures both big and small. Ghoulcaller's Chant and Ghoul Razor both give zombie tribals some much-needed card advantage, while the flying zombie, Stitched Drake, used to give Delver decks some much-needed beef. Doomed Traveler and Selfless Cathar make an army of tokens far more intimidating, while Gnaw to the Bone can give graveyard decks an ungodly amount of life and draw the game out. And that's still not all, because Harvest Pyre is a spell that can handle almost any creature, provided there's enough fuel for the fire. So there you have it, the top 5 post-New World Order sets for Pauper. The best part about all this is that these sets continue to have a huge impact on the format. New sets really do affect Pauper. Shadows over Innistrad has given us Thraben and Spectre, and we're only just now beginning to see what Eldritch Moon commons will bring to the format. Super incredible special thanks go out to Alex Ullman for his extensive assistance in the research and development of this video. What we've done here has just scratched the surface of New World Order and Pauper. If you'd like an extensive and engaging read on the subject with greater insight and greater detail, check out Alex's article at gatheringmagic.com in the link in the description below.